Ooh! Greetings friends, it's me Lad here. Today is going to be my first ability guide video and I'm going to show you how to do a force push. So in other words, how to use the Force Applier to give you a nice Jedi-like force push. Woot woot. So first we're going to go into gadgets, we're going to go to gameplay gear, then we're going to choose a puppet. You can do any kind of puppet, you can do a deluxe one. I just thought a basic one for now, just so that it's nice and simple. So here we've got our nice basic puppet. That's going to be our Jedi. Then what you're going to want to do is put on grid snap, put it to about half, which will be quite nice. Then go to sculpt, add in a few little objects that we are going to force push out of the way. Right? Then you're going to want to edit this chap. You're going to want to make it, you're going to want to go to physical properties, then you'll turn it on movable. So you'll activate movable, but that's not all, because you're also going to want to reduce its density. So that basically makes it lighter and easier to move around, and it'll make that force push all that more impressive. You can keep it with a heavier weight, but then you might have to increase the good old force of your Force Applier. But I thought we'd keep it nice and light and breezy. So now, now I'm just cloning this chap a bunch of times, and we've got a nice little wall of objects here, which are quite cool. Something that I've forgotten to do is to select all of these chaps, and in labels, go to labels and ownership, make these an object. Labels are a good thing to use if you're trying to differentiate between things, and it's just a good idea to use labels. And I'm going to call my Jedi over here, I'm going to call him a friend. So now let's get cracking with the actual force push itself. So we're going to press L1 and X to open our Jedi, L1 and X on the puppet logic. Then, for the sake of neatness, the first thing we're going to do is put a microchip inside our Jedi. It's always nice to use a microchip just to make things nice and neat and straightforward, and if anyone else uses your stuff, they can understand what's going on. So you're going to want to call this force push. Once again, naming microchips is like using microchips is like efficient and, you know, productive and all those good things, but then naming them is like even more. That's like next level. That's just, you know, some good coding and game making hygiene, I like to think. Anyway, let's go over to moves and outputs. That's where we're going to get our Force Applier, and we can stamp that down in there. So now we're going to edit our Force Applier, so we'll press L1 and square. And at the moment, I think what we'll do is, so here we've got our Force Applier. I'm just going to get that off of my screen quickly. Oh yeah, you can turn the grid snap off now. So go to guides and then turn off that old grid snap. So here we have our bubble, as it were, for our bubble of effect, our area of effect for our Force Applier. So at the moment it's a circle, and a circle would be pretty cool if you wanted to do like a kind of like an AoE all around the Jedi himself or herself or themselves. If you wanted to do like a rage explosion, that would be pretty cool, and you'd put that in the center. Some other shapes that we can use are the square, the cylinder. The cylinder you could definitely also use for a force push, that would be pretty good. And the ellipsoid, which is kind of like a more funky circle. But I think for now we're going to go with the cone, which looks a bit silly right now, but if we turn it nicely and we kind of just arrange it in such a way, let's make it a little bit higher, yeah, and then we can adjust the zone size. Now that I've got this nice and at an angle, you can change the X value, that'll make it a bit wider, the Y value, which increases the height, and the Z value, which will increase the sort of its distance, how far it goes. But one cool thing you could do, especially if you're making a game and you want things to be like a little bit, what's the word? have some depth to it, is to incorporate the zone fall off. So what the zone fall off is basically an area where the effect is still applied, but it's slightly weaker. So instead of being like absolutely blown the heck away, you'll kind of just be like nudged. And you can increase the force speed here. This is the power of your force push. So this is a potential amount of meters per second. And of course these things are affected by the weight of the object and friction and a whole bunch of things. But for now we're just gonna make that 9, which is pretty cool. Alrighty, so here we have our force applier, but there's something essential that we're missing, and that is a keyframe. So we're gonna go to animation, or animate rather, and we're gonna go to keyframe. And keyframes are like so important. They have so many just uses that I don't even know them all. So, okay, I'm actually just going to quickly close this keyframe. I'm just going to stop recording because I want to see where the force applier sort of begins. You know what I mean? So here we have it. Here's our force applier. I'm just going to move it a little bit more there. Now I'm going to go back into the keyframe. Remember, if you're ever editing a keyframe, you must go over here to edit keyframe. Many times I've just like gone ahead and start changing stuff around, but you actually mess with like the basic standing pose of your puppet, so that totally sucks. So now I'm going to move his hand. I'm going to move their hand. My gender neutral puppet. Get a nice force push arm going here. Yes. Then I'm going to, don't worry, I can change the position of the force applier. But you don't just want to like put like a casual hand out there. You want to add a little bit of character. So you might lift like an arm in preparation, you know, as this chap does it. Lower them a little bit. Throw back a leg. That was quite a fabulous leg actually. Yeah, and there you are. That's kind of just yes. Alrighty. So there we have our pose. We can look here again. Yee, that looks quite cool. Let's turn it on so we can see what's cracking, and then let us match up our force push with the. If you want to get an extra close look, press R1. That's why you need R1, and you can sort of look all the way around it. And then we'll put it at like the center of the hand there, and that's just glorious. Now, why did we use those labels before, you ask? Well, now we want to say what it affects. So we're going to want to turn friend off. So it'll affect all these things. It'll affect foe, scenery, object. As we know, these little blocky blocks are objects, so they will be force pushed. But you don't want to accidentally do the force push and your whole freaking body like flies forward. That would be lame. Now, what is the final thing that we want to do? Well, we want to make this affected by a control. Otherwise, your chap's just going to be blowing off like force push farts like nothing else. So we're going to want to make that. We can make it any button at all. We could make it the motion sensor. Could we? Ah, that would be pretty cool. I should try that out. But for now, I'm going to make it R1. I feel like that's a nice ability button. So we're going to plug it into power. We're also going to plug it into the keyframe. So we've got a cool animation. And there we are. So we can close all this business. And we can go to play mode. Let's see if it works. Hope it works. Force push! Hey! So there you are, friends. Just as simple as that. All you need is pretty much 2 little things. And to mess with some things, tweak with their physical properties. Yes, yes! Anakin, you were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. Anywho, friends, I hope you enjoyed this ability guide. And I'll catch you on the flip-flop. Peace out!